What I can say is this palette has been living rent-free in my mind since about November 2021. Maybe even October 2021 when she first started sneak peeking this palette. And I am talking about the Glaminatrix Nocturnal palette. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Hey guys, this is Ashley. Welcome on back to my channel. So as you just saw, we are doing 3 looks with the Glaminatrix Nocturnal palette. Now, I have been waiting on this palette forever and a day. I was waiting on the palette forever and a day just to release. But then it kind of seemed like forever and a day for it to arrive. But we'll talk about that in just a moment. But before I get carried away, as I tend to do, let me go ahead and introduce myself. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. And if you're older but goodie, welcome on back. My name is Ashley. I have a doctorate in pharmacy and I love makeup. So that's how you get Dr. Ash in her makeup. Please just call me Ash or Ashley, and eyeshadow really is my jam. It is one of my favorite topics to talk about. So, okay. So Glaminatrix Cosmetics is a brand that I actually tried out in the year of 2021, and I started off with their You Beauty palette, and then I jumped into their Silent Night palette, and I pre-ordered the Bloom palette last year back in October, and I know that that was going to be a pre-order that wasn't going to come out until like February or arrive in February, so I was cool with that. But then that's kind of just been an ordeal. And then the Glaminatrix Nocturnal palette, which we're talking about in this particular video, launched, I want to say, around November or so. And we knew that this might not be available until after the Bloom palette or right before the Bloom palette. And I was expecting to get this palette probably around March. And literally, did not get this palette until like May 19th. So it has just been a journey waiting on this palette. So I feel like part of the issue with this palette is because the brand is a small indie brand and it's basically like a one-woman show, but now she has an employee that has been helping her. And, you know, she started sneak peeking the palette. So you're just like, oh my God, it's on my radar. And she's showing us 4 shades and she's showing us 6. And then the packaging. And then what do you think of this? And, you know, so it's the whole to-do on Instagram. So immediately I'm like, my interest is piqued. I'm ready to like spend my money. I'm like, yes, I need this palette in my collection because honestly, it is gorgeous. And this is made of recyclable leather. So it is like a synthetic leather. It's not real leather. I think the color is great. If you look real closely, it's like stamped or an imprint in there for Glaminatrix Nocturnal. And it's a little different from what their brand usually does. And you open it up, has the mirror, and then we have this beautiful, beautiful color story. And my palette is looking a little used and abused, and if you're wondering why, because you know, if you come to this channel, my palettes don't usually look so used and abused. It's because all of my shimmer shades, except for the shade Luna, came broken. So yes, okay. Now initially when she sent out some PR samples of this palette, the reports were that, you know, Luna, which is the shade I have on my eyes, that did not come out broken, was very thick. So she took the time to reformulate it. Also the shade Milky Way was like crumbling, but people were able to just kind of like press it back down. But one of the main reports was that Luna, which is one of the most like beautiful duochromes in the palette, was very thick. It gave a bad texture to people's eyelids, so it just really wasn't appealing. So she took the time to kind of reformulate the shimmers, make them a little bit more thinner. And now she's sending them out. This is the first batch of pre-orders. And they did not make it in shipping. So I thought that everything was going to be okay because my box was tight. I had 2 singles that I ordered also, and they made it okay. I also had the Bloom palette in my box because somehow my shipping got combined for that. I think I really wanted to do separate shipping for both of them because she did have an option where you could combine shipping to save since it's coming from Australia. And, you know, that's like $20, just flat rate. And I guess I was ordering this so fast that somehow it got combined. Because that really wasn't my intent. I wanted my Bloom palette and then I wanted this, you know. because I'm like, I want to record it for you all, but it's neither here or there. As you can see, we have 5 shimmer shades, and then the rest are mattes. And the color story is kind of bright, it's vibrant, it's grungy, it's murky, it's giving daytime, it's giving nighttime. And I'm just really here for it. I just think that the color story is very unique. In some regards, just maybe 1 or 2, it does give me Pat McGrath Subversive vibes, but not quite. You know what I mean? So I just really appreciate this color story, and that's what made me want it. I was like, yes, this is unique. I am all about my unique color stories at this point because I have a lot of makeup, okay? And Glaminatrix is a brand that I've really been loving. So this palette actually is available for pre-order right now. It looks, I just checked the website. I'm filming this on May 23rd. So you do have a couple of palettes that are still left. The price of the palette is $53.26, and that is USD. Glaminatrix does take Afterpay. What makes the palette kind of pricey is definitely the fact that it's coming from Australia, and there is a $20 basically standard shipping. So at this point, if you want to order the palette, looks like you can order it, and it is promised to be ordered by July. She now has an employee who has been able to help her tremendously with the operation and to get things done. So once she got the employee in place, things were going a lot faster. And she kept us updated a lot via Instagram and also some email blasts. And I appreciate that. I really do. And I'm not bashing her or anything, but I just have to say that I was frustrated. I'm not going to lie to you all. I was just frustrated. Wanted my palette, and it's just like, you think you're going to get something around March. It ends up being April. It really ends up being May. And it was just a lot. And I think that's when initially promised. But then when I looked at my receipt, it said ships April. So I don't know. I was just confused because it was like, okay, the timeline that she broke down on the Instagram. But we're going to move off of that subject, okay? So she does also recommend applying these shadows with a glitter glue. And I don't think that was necessarily needed by the looks that I did today. I'm not opposed to using a glitter glue, so that doesn't even bother me, faze me, or anything like that. Anything that I can do to ensure my shadows stick around, I'm good with. Now, I did contact her and let her know that my shadows were broken, and she did send me out all the shimmer shades, and this palette is magnetic and it's removable. So you can rearrange the shades if you're one of those people who like to, make all new palettes, different color stories, take these shades out. You definitely can do that. So the palettes, the pan size of this palette is 26.5 mm, so that's a standard palette size. And you have between 1.5 to 2 grams of product per plan. And like I said, they are magnetized, okay? If you are curious about the ingredients of the palette, you can find the ingredients on the website. And this palette did come with a nice little unicarton, which I think is like super sleek and nice and just kind of goes with the palette theme. So this is the unicarton, and there isn't anything on the back. There is, however, one more thing I wanted to say, and I'm glad that she took the time to fix this. And initially when this launch happened, or the swatches came out and everything like that, that there was not a woman of color that was swatching the eyeshadows. But she did take the time to fix that and go ahead and have a woman of color. And she said going forward that there will be a woman of color that can go ahead, help with the swatches. So if you go on the website, you do see the eye swatches with a creator. I can't think of her name at the moment. I'll try to remember to put it at the bottom. So you do see the swatches of the mattes and the shimmer shades with the woman of color, and then of course with their regular model right there. So I'm glad that she did take the time to rectify that, especially as her brand is growing. And in Australia, like, just knowing what I know of the culture, like, you can find people of color there. So it's not like in a place where there aren't people around. But that's all I have to say at the moment. Let's go ahead. Let's jump into the 3 looks because I do like them very much. And I have some thoughts along the way. And then, of course, we'll wrap up with final thoughts at the end. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I got my eyebrows filled in using my Goof Proof pencil, shade 3.75. And then, of course, I have my Urban Decay Primer Potion in the shade Caffeine. am back, and here are the first two looks, and they are really, really pretty, you know, really gorgeous. So as I just sat here with this look, I've had it on for about an hour, you know, because I had to take a couple phone calls. I'm on the scholarship committee for my university, so to do that meeting, it's a lot going on, y'all. It's really a lot going on. Anywho, so as the look just sat here and just kind of, you know, laid here on the eyes, I was like, I really like both of these looks. Now, I think the color combos are just endless. So I really like how the grunginess of this particular shade Fog, it actually shows up mustard on my skin complexion, and then followed in with Gloom right here. I think that is really beautiful. Love the black. It was really easy to navigate, put on, and then also the plum. Like I can just build it up and build it up to the intensity that I wanted to. Followed with the periwinkle. Now I do wish that the shimmers were a little easier to lay down, and I feel like I wish that they had a little bit more opaqueness. But as this green shadow has just been sitting here on my eyes, I'm like, I really do enjoy it. I really like it. And this one, this is, what does it say? Constellation. It has a lot of pigment already, like a lot of base pigment, but I would say they were just a tiny bit hard to apply. Definitely I went in, started off with the Redford P21. And I was like, okay, but I feel like I needed just something a little bit stiffer, a little bit more workhorse-ish. And so I went in with the Redford 02. This is the Redford 02, and I did have to kind of like mix it with some mixing medium, which is the Myricks mixing medium that I have, and then I just kind of followed in with my finger. I feel like it just made it the easiest. I don't know if it's because the shimmers have kind of been, you know, disrupted. So I would say I wish they just applied a little bit easier, because I feel like in the other palettes they do that I've tried by Glaminatrix. Now, I think these colors are beautiful. Like this is just kind of simple. It's grungy with that pop of that purple with the black. But it will also look good with this shade right here. But let's see. Let's talk about my face details real quick before we get into the final look, because I feel like I'm doing a full review of the palette right now, or full first impressions, but we still got one more look to do. But went in with my Danessa Myricks. This is the Blurring Balm powder. I love this stuff. There's pan. Okay. So, because you know, you got the little spatula, and I've, like I said, I've just used this several times since I've gotten it at the beginning of May. So there is a little pan there. Okay. And followed in with my bronzer from Mented Cosmetics. This is in the shade Vacay. Here we go. And then I took my Melt Cosmetics Monarca blush palette, and I jumped in with Sonrisa, and then followed it up with a little bit of highlight with Vita. And for the lip, I went ahead and took my Fashion Fair lipstick in the shade Genache, which is just a beautiful, you know, taupey brown. Let's see. And I did not put on a lip liner with it. And then for the waterline, here I went in with my black. This is Extreme Black by Pat McGrath. Oh Lord, she's so tiny. She's still going strong, honey. And then for this eye, I went in with one of the multi-chrome eyeliners from Danessa Myricks, and this is in the shade Emerald. So, now you can see it. There we go. So far I am really impressed. And sometimes things just kind of need to sit and settle and stay on your eyelids. And the more I just sit here and look, I'm like, I really like this. So let's go ahead and get into one more look. All right, I am back, and this is the third and final look, and I just think it came out so beautiful. And one of the shockers, well, I don't know if it's a shocker because I think it's what I kind of expect, but this little lime green called Murky, it did not come to play because sometimes shades like that, they just don't pop out on my skin complexion, but I'm so excited. It's really giving. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about this look. For my waterline, I went in with my Danessa Myricks multi-chrome pencil in the shade Amethyst. Don't really think you can see it. It's a lot. My eyelids are like, I'm done. So we just gonna hold it together so we can do this the last little couple parts of this video, okay? I have filmed kind of a few videos today, yeah. You know, it's like that sometimes. But let's go ahead and talk about this palette. So, oh my gosh. Obviously, I waited so long for this palette. So I'm glad that I do like it. So I can't actually say I like it. I'm very excited that I do own it in my collection. You know, I was a little upset that it was broken, but then I was, you know, kind of expecting that it might show up broken because other people's palettes had showed up broken. And sometimes it is what it is. You know what I mean? I didn't think my palette was going to be broken because, you know, I didn't have any shadow all outside here and everything like that. And it wasn't even actually any shadow on the front. So, you know, I'm like, oh, maybe I made it, but that didn't happen. But the color story, 10 out of 10. That's what made me want this palette. That's what made me fall in love with this palette. The color story is just amazing. It is giving grungy. It's giving, you know, pops of color with the brightness. I love the color story. I just wish that the shimmers were formulated maybe a little bit smoother so they were a little bit easier to apply. And that I know she kind of reformulated some of the things because definitely Luna, when I saw Amy Loves Makeup apply, Luna is the shade that I have on my lid right here, which is one of the stars of the show, one of the main multi-chromes in the palette. It was very thick and it made her eyelids look really crepey. So I'm glad that she did reformulate it. I can't talk. So I'm glad she did reformulate it. Now, actually, that was the shade that made it. Luna was okay. Luna did not have any problems arriving to me. So I felt like that was very easy to apply. I just went ahead, applied it with my finger. I think that was just the best payoff for it. Now, I really do like how we have the shade Milky Way and it kind of just plays nice with whatever color you have to give that sparkle, iridescent, inner corner highlight. The purple, the goldy shade, so you can kind of do a neutral look, especially just right in this little quad. I see so many different variations. Like I see a quad here, a 6-pan here. I see, you know, another quad here. And that's what really, really drew me to this palette. For me, I feel like, for me, it was the whole palette, but when she was sneak peeking it, I was just like, oh my God, this little 6-pan right up in here was just calling my name. Now, I really do love these two shades. I feel like it definitely layers the look. Even with the black, it will definitely give you that depth. And I probably should have added the black with this to get a little bit deeper, but I like how it looks a little bit lighter in this particular look. Now, I do feel that Witching Hour is a very beautiful aubergine shade, but it doesn't come on very impactful. So you do have to kind of take your time to build it up. So I wish that shade was just maybe a tiny bit impactful, but I think that the rest of the mattes are really, really fabulous. They're really easy to blend. They have a lot of pop. You can build them up. And they're showing up. And I feel like some of these other mattes, like these lighter colors, will show up on women who are a little bit deeper than me, which is great. Overall, like the whole color story of the palette is just beautiful. The only thing I have a little issue with right now is just the shimmers. And, you know, they're not bad. They're not by far the worst. I just think that for me, I feel like Glaminatrix, the shimmers have just been a little bit easier to apply in the past. And when I'm thinking about the U Beauty palette and even the Silent Night palette, I haven't had too much of an issue. These I didn't have really an issue with at all. I mean, they applied nicely. I think you know, you just got to use your fingers. So if you're not down with your fingers, it can be an issue. I do think that the packaging is really beautiful. I really like the green packaging. I know a lot of people say it's giving Adept vibes, but I think it's okay. I really like it. And I think it's good for the brand to switch up, because usually they have a cardboard packaging with some type of design, and I like how sleek and simple this is. One thing I did notice while I was working with this particular palette, it's lightweight, but it does feel substantial. But definitely this part right here, this black backing, and here, it is definitely foam. So it is a little squishy, as you can see when I'm pressing it down. It does kind of squish. So maybe that's why some of the shimmers broke also, because it's the formula, definitely. And then maybe, I don't know, it feels harder up here, but maybe because this part is foam, maybe it just gives the palette, I don't know, a little bit more room to move around. So we'll see when she sends out the other shades. Like I did mention before, she's just going to send me the shimmer shades, and everything is magnetized, so I could just go ahead, take a magnet and pop it in and out. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some parchment paper and then pop the other shades out. But because at this current state, I would just be afraid to have the palette sitting like this in my collection, you know, with other palettes, you know, behind it. I will definitely kind of keep it like this until, you know, I get my other shades. I actually have not tracked it, and she has sent them out immediately. But overall, I really have good thoughts. I'm really glad she did reformulate though, because I know it just really wasn't in her. She didn't bank on it, because I know this shade was kind of breaking a little bit where you're able to kind of just push it back in, but I know she just did not plan for everything else kind of breaking once she reformulated everything. And so that does suck. I do feel bad for her, because she has had put a lot of work into this palette. You know, it's been a trying motion just getting the first round of this palette out, but I'm still, now that I play with it and I got over my little initial saltiness of finally getting the palette, then it's broken, I'm just like, but now that I play with it, I'm really glad I have it, and I do feel great about it. And I'm like, yes, this palette is great. Now, of course, I feel like I will get definitely more use out of this palette probably, you know, in the fall, especially with these grungy mattes, but it's definitely summer appropriate. I feel like the look I'm giving now is, you know, summer night appropriate, even summer day. So, I mean, I feel like it's just all how you work it, and by having this black, it's definitely going to add a lot more dimension to this palette. So, overall, would I recommend this palette? I would say yes. But overall, was I happy about waiting so long? I would have to just say no. I mean, it wasn't like I was messaging the brand or anything like that, but honestly, like, my patience was tested with this palette, and I don't know if it was in a good way. Like, I was really over it. I was just like, I just really didn't understand. And I just felt like at this point, I just wanted my product, and I was really excited to play in it. And I'm glad that I do have good feedback about the palette. But I know she promised in going forward that pre-orders would not take this long. This is supposed to be a permanent palette. I'm pretty sure about that. And that the turnaround will be much faster. And she has apologized for that. So I do appreciate that, but it's just like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm a patient person, but this just tested me. Like, oh, it was like every day. It was one point I was just checking my email every day for updates. So, not so patiently waiting. But, you know, I still love Glaminatrix. I love their other products too. I have the Bloom palette, so I will be doing a look with that. Some inspiration if you pick that up because of that. Well, she says maybe she'll bring a few of them back. We shall see. But leave me a comment down below. Have you tried Glaminatrix? Did you pick up this palette? Did you get the palette? Was it broken? Tell me everything. You know, leave me a comment down below. Let me know which is your favorite look. Oh man, I really love this look. I think it came out absolutely gorgeous. I really love the second look. And then I really love my first look, so I don't really know if I could pick. So you pick for me. Let me know. Give this video a big old thumbs up and hit the notification bell so you know when I come out with another video, which will be very, very soon. And please subscribe to my channel because you know I would love to have you here in my little makeup family. And with all of that being said, you already know what time it is. It is time for the chair dance. Hey, chair dance. Hey, 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 chair dance. Chair dance. Chair dance. Hey. All right, y'all. Bye.